My name is Oliver Kobale. I'm captain of sailing yacht Sisi since 2019. So the project started mid of 2019, and since then I'm basically looking after the boat and doing all the maintenance, and also move the boat around in between events. And then also in the most recent years, I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, I stepped more into the skippering role for races as well. So yeah, basically I live on the boat since 6 years now.
My name is Konstantin Kobale. I'm the CEO of Austrian Ocean Racing. So I started sailing when I was 6 years old in the Optimist. We've been racing all together as a group of young Austrians on small lakes.
So I started sailing when I was a kid basically, so I don't know if riding a bicycle or learning how to sail was first. Probably riding a bicycle. I kind of got into sailing through my brother. I mean, our dad was sailing back then.
Our parents took us every weekend to another venue, and hundreds of kids of our age were gathering to race against each other. That was great fun.
And then somehow I also jumped on a boat one day, and then from there on, things took off. We always, from the beginning, we started with racing.
After the Optimist, we raced 420, so a small dinghy as well, but with the helmsman and the crew.
I always thought, in my opinion, a good sailor is a very versatile sailor. I don't want to be, world champion in road tacking and a laser. I want to be able to, sail big symmetric sails offshore in the night and be able to, peel a symmetric sail, but also sail a foiling boat inshore alone. You know what I mean? I think that's a very, versatile sailor is a good sailor in the end. And then also the technical aspect, especially for big boats and especially for offshore, is just a thing that's not really there for dinghy and inshore and Olympic stuff. That you're really familiar with hydraulics, electronics, boat building, sail making, rigging, big stuff,
We got the opportunity to race in the Youth America's Cup in Bermuda in 2017, and that was a super cool experience. With the first real pro sailing, if you like.
Austria is a landlocked country, and pro sailing is not a thing in Austria actually. There's very few or hardly any pro sailors and hardly any campaigns, so we kind of tried to find our own way how to get into this world.
And after the America's Cup, we just wanted to continue sailing and continue as a professional team and professional sporting campaign. We got hooked. We wanted to continue, and luckily we were in a position that we got Sisi, the boat that I'm sitting on. We got the approval of the boat, and then we started to look for funding, and it was all like within a few weeks to get the funding done and to really buy and purchase the boat.
Sisi is a VO65, so the boats were designed and built in 2013 for the ocean race back then. The boat basically is the biggest one design offshore class, which is the thing that makes these boats unique. They are not the biggest, they're not the fastest, they're not foiling, but they are the biggest offshore one design class. Sisi was hull number 4, so back in 2014-15 it was racing around the world as Team Albi Medica, and then in 2017-18 the boat sailed around the world as 11th Hour Racing, and then we bought the boat in 2019 from the ocean race, so we are the third owner basically. We bought the boat for the ocean race. We always wanted to set up a campaign to compete in the ocean race.
We launched the campaign Austrian Ocean Racing.
We got to know people, we got to know sailors, shore management, people that run for sponsors and so on. And we kind of got an idea how to set up a team, how a team operates, what a team needs, the things to look out for. And then we also understood, and I think this was a very, very important learning, is to really understand the business side of sailing, because you also don't have this in small boats and dinghies. Everything's cheap and easy. You just throw the boat on a trailer or on your car and you go. Like with big boats, you really need to plan ahead, and obviously all the business besides that also needs to be planned ahead. This kind of got us and set up into the direction that we ended up heading in the end. Obviously in 2020 COVID happened, which was quite unfortunate for us. Obviously, we had all the expenses in the beginning, and we couldn't really earn any money. Then, all the companies were in crisis mode, so we couldn't really agree on any sponsorship back then. And then we kind of had to find a way how to keep going with the project. And this is basically how the whole berth charter thing started or evolved. Actually, by pure accident, we set up the whole charter thing. It was not our primary goal in the beginning, but we set up, a little bit of a network. We have a good customer base by now. We have a lot of customers that come back. So by now, we managed to fill 10 events a year plus deliveries with charter guests, which actually makes it enables us to keep on running the boat, and the boat's still in very good shape. We have new sails, and mechanically the boat's in very good condition. And our approach was always to run the boat as a pro race team, or that's how we sail the boats. Obviously, if you have semi-professionals or amateurs on board, obviously you have to sail the boat a little bit different. But our idea, since we are racers ourselves, we always wanted to sail the boat how we would sail it in ocean race. I don't want to cruise around with small head sails and 25 reefs. Still want to sail the boat with proper setups. And back then, all the other teams also had pros on board with some young guys, and we back then were by far the youngest team. I think our average age was below 30 probably. This was also one of our ideas, since we were young ourselves and we tried to find our way into pro sailing, that we also enable, we want to give other young guys the chance to also get into pro sailing. So we always got young people on board and tried to teach them and show them how things work on big boats.
We've competed in 2 Ocean Race editions, in the Ocean Race Europe in 2021 and the Ocean Race Sprint Cup in 2023. And ever since, we sail with the boat in regattas worldwide. As now, we just prepare for the Antigua Sailing Week starting in 3 days from now.
I'm Peter, I'm from Belgium. This is my second year on Sisi, or the second race I do with Sisi. We're in Antigua for the Antigua Sailing Week. In our class, the big boat class, we have 3 Volvos, a Volvo 70, a Pirate, Volvo 65, Sailing Poland, and then ourselves. We are a mix of 5-6 pro sailors, and the rest are amateur sailors, guest sailors like myself. This year I am on the front pedestal, so I'm a grinder.
Sisi is a VO65, as I said. The boat's around 20 meters long, 5.6 meters wide, and draws 4.8 meters. The mast is above, like 30 meters above the surface, basically. The boat has a canting keel, which sets these boats apart from traditional offshore yachts. The boat weighs around 5.5 tons, so the boat's very relying on having the keel in the right position. This makes the boat difficult to sail. And then we have very little rudders, and a very powerful main and powerful zip line in general. So the boats are very, very precise. You have to be very precise with steering and setting up the sails. As a pitman, I'm obviously involved with the bow team to get sails up and down. I think this is actually the easy part. For me, with having guests on board, my role is really to make sure that the drivetrain for the winches is coordinated. So during maneuvers, they do what they are supposed to, and they are grinding in the right gear and the right winch, in the right setups. And then also I'm involved very much together with the tactician and the navigator in timings to make sure that at the mark we have the right sails up and ready. So I know how much time the bow people need, how much time the trimmer needs to run sheets and so on. So from here I'm really coordinating the boat to make sure that we have a smooth race in the end. have the pleasure to be part of the afterguard as well, but this is usually where the older you get, the more aft you are on the boat. So when you're young, you start on the bow, and then sooner or later you end up at the stern. So we have the steering wheels. So this is where the helmsman is doing his thing. And then over here, a unique thing for this boat, as we said, it has a canting keel. With these buttons, we can control the canting keel and also the ballast tank. So just in front of the helmsman, the main trimmer is doing his thing. So he will usually sit right in front of the steering wheels. He has the footrests, and he will trim the boat. So he's really in charge for keeping the boat fast, making sure that we meet our polars and the performance. Total, we have 3 pedestals with 2 grinders each, so 6 people in total. And we don't have any hydraulic winches, so everything's human powered. So they really need to be strong and tall. Usually for inshore races, especially, it's quite a tough grind. The trimmer works together with the main trimmer to meet the performance, but the head sails trimmer is more involved in technical stuff. The main trimmer is really just performance and numbers. And the trimmers for the head sails, they're more involved with the pit people and the bow people to run sheets, run sails, what setups, different, triple-headed with the jibs, or we peel into a A4. They're more involved in technical stuff as well. It looks complicated if you're not used to race boats, but it actually is a very simple setup. So in the middle, you have all the halyards. Everything that pulls something up is in the middle, and on the sides, everything is pulling down. So it's very easy actually. So we use the pedestals to drive the winches, and also on the aft pedestal we drive a hydraulic pump. And we use these push buttons to direct what we're connected to. So as I said, if a button is up, it's activated. We can link all the 3 pedestals together. So now all 3 of them are spinning together. Now we could have 6 grinders grinding together. And then with this we can change gear. If you're fancy as a grinder, you will do it with your elbows. When we grind together, we have to make sure that we're in the same setting. And usually during maneuvers, we have to change back and forth between overdrive and the standard setting. Can hold. Driven winches are the 2 primes, the pit winch and the main winch. Those are the only winches we can drive with the pedestals. The runner winches and the 2 small pit winches are traditional top handle winches. And then, as I said, this one also drives the hydraulic pump. And we use it to adjust the tacks of the sails, so J1, 2 and 3 tack, and also the topmast and check the deflector for the backstays. And we can also adjust the Cunningham and the outhaul of the main. The more forward you go, the wetter it gets and the wilder it is. And it's an offshore boat, as I said. This is where the magic happens, really. So changes and peels and so on. This really makes and breaks the race, actually. When the boat's heeling, it's a Volvo, so they really like a lot of heel. 20, 25, 30, and even more degrees of heel is nothing out of the ordinary. The boats really like to heel, and obviously when the bow is moving, there's water coming over the deck, you dig into waves and so on, you need something to hold on. It's a race boat, so there's not any interior in the boat. The boat's built for performance, and the interior area really shows that. So we're in the Caribbean and it's quite hot and humid. We don't have any AC on board. We don't have a shower. We hardly have running water. So the boat's built to be fast, and the interior reassembles that. So I would say we start with the galley, the kitchen, bathroom, everything in once. So there is a handy frame around it. So as I said, the boat likes to heel. So it's 6 meters wide. If you heel 30 degrees, you very easily fall to leeward. So everything that you can hold on to is a good thing. And there's plenty in the boat, but still, falls do happen every now and then. Actually, most of the injuries we see on board are happening inside the boat while sailing, while getting changed and so on. Then behind me you see our locker, basically. So every crew member gets a hook. They are numbered, and then life jacket, foulies and so on are on these hooks. So this is our closet. This is all we have, basically. And then behind me you see the bunks. We can adjust the height, so you always kind of lay flat. Usually we would try to be, wedged in between the bed and the side of the boat, in the hull, to not fall out. But this is where we sleep. We share bunks. You always have a watch body. the guy that's in the opposite of your watch, and then we share the bed. So usually when you come downstairs, your sleeping bag's nice and warm, which is a good thing when it's cold. Okay, let's go forward. And it's actually quite bright at the moment. We have the bow hatch open and all the lights are on. Usually it's quite dark inside, but sailing obviously all the doors are closed. So if you lose your headlamp, you're really lost inside the boat. The only reason to go here really is to either check something or to go to the toilet, which is on your left. It's a carbon fiber bowl, and some legends had a ride on that before. Probably not what most people are used to, but in my opinion, for a race boat, this is one of the most comfortable toilets I ever sat on. But I would say let's go aft to the nav station and to the crew area where we actually kind of sleep. So just follow me. So now we are basically right under the cockpit. So you see the winch base is above me, and you see the drive system for the winches. So the off watch is sleeping in the bunks, but obviously the watch that's on watch is racing the boat, and they try to do everything to make the boat fast. So they are working, so it is always very loud downstairs, but after a while you're tired enough to just fall asleep, which is usually not a problem. In my opinion, the bunks are really, really comfortable. We have a nice mesh, and then usually we sleep in a sleeping bag on top. On the left of me is the nav desk. And then on the bulkhead behind the nav desk, you see all the navigational equipment we have, so all the electronics. And in general, on this boat, we don't have any floorboards. You're walking in the bilge, so if there's any water coming in, you notice immediately. And also the cables, hydraulic lines, and so on are running on the bulkheads directly. So we don't have any covers or anything. It's very, very easy to find issues and trace or to troubleshoot problems. The boat really wants to go fast. Top speeds are well within the 30s. You can average low 20s, 22, 23 knots. So you need to be on top of your sailing really. With the canting keel, we also have twin dagger boards. They have a lifting profile. So on the upwind, for example, the keel is in windward, the boards are down to keep the boat from drifting to leeward. We have 6 halyards and 8 head sails. And we can also rather easily peel between the sails. I mean, this is something that really makes up offshore sailing, you know, that you peel from one sail to the next. This boat is really made for offshore racing, but we are very flexible with outriggers and setups for offshore, triple-headed with, you know, a big code 0 and 2 stay sails, or a asymmetric free-flying nylon sail. In addition to the canting keel, we also have 3 ballast tanks, so 2 in the back on either side, and 1 is in the bow. The boat weighs around 12.5 tons. And then with gear and people, we can move around 10 to 15% of the boat's weight. So and the boats with the planing hull are very, very sensible to where you have the weight. Yes, I am one of the youngest skippers probably in a race, but also by now I think we did over 120,000 miles just with this boat alone, and always with crews, and we were always big 12 to 18. This is probably the most valuable thing I learned from this project, is how to manage people, how to manage a group, how to lead a group, and especially with the charter we do, we usually have people that don't know each other before, so it is difficult to have 12 random people, let's say, on board and then really form a team and get everyone in the right spot to make sure that people actually work together.
Working together with other motivated individuals on a project, whatever that project is always fun. But making those single individuals work together in one team, that's an art. And on Sisi, I am no longer Peter. I am one person in a team of 16. One small piece in a lean and mean regatta machine. And on Sisi, they are really mastering the art of forming these teams. For every single regatta, they take people who have never met. Some are 18, others like myself are 65. Some are experienced and some are novice sailors. And you put all of them on a super fast and very well maintained boat and turn them into a super competitive regatta crew. That's what Oliver and Konstantin do on Sisi for every race. Races like the Antigua Sailing Week we just finished. Listen, I've done 14 ocean crossings with 50,000 miles under my keel. I am not a novice sailor. And professionally, I have managed teams for the past 35 years. And yet, every time I race on Sisi, I learn. Yes, I'm physically tired right now, but mentally, I'm totally loaded up. Racing on Sisi is fun. It's tough, but it's fun. And you know what is even more fun? That's if we can cross the finishing line every day amongst the top 3. And we can give each other hugs and high fives after every leg of the race. Proud of what we have achieved.
We were good today, I think. We did really well. First race, we finished in 3rd. Second one, 2nd. We got the competition again. I'm really happy with the day. I think we did very well. We can be proud of ourselves. And we deserved some beers.
Well, I'd just like to thank you all for enjoying English Harbour Run.
The VO65 Sisi is the perfect animal for offshore racing. On the other hand, inshore racing and up and downwind racing is not the, let's say, a primary goal of this bird. And we want to build our fleet, if you like, a little bit to expand our business and to use Sisi primarily in the harder offshores. Then on the other hand, the inshores are something that we want to accomplish in the near future with a bigger maxi, which is perfectly suited for inshore racing. So if you want to step on board on one of our yachts and get all of the experience of a true maxi in a regatta, check out our homepage and get in touch with us. We are in most of the major offshore races at the moment, and I hope to see you soon on board Sisi or a future project.